Hey everybody, Tara here. It's really good to be here with you. Welcome to my home office. And wow, I just had a major experience over the weekend that probably could have taken me out. It could have robbed me of my peace, my joy, and, probably my focus, to be honest with you. And I have to be really real. When something comes at you, and you're tempted to be disappointed or you're tempted to feel like it's a huge setback, how do you deal with that, And, I allow myself to feel the feels. I think that's the first thing you do need to allow yourself to do. Give yourself some grace, kindness, compassion, realize that you're going to feel the feels sometimes, right? But it's how you make that comeback that really matters the most, right? And so I could have just sat there and been like, oh my gosh, like, I don't know what to do about the situation. But instead, I really thought about, now my faith is really super important to me, right? So the thing that I really had to take into consideration and think about is, okay, I can take this to prayer. I can't fix anything, but I can go to the maker for my comfort, for my joy. And I remember a few times, like, even reading my Bible, I think about Jesus and how he lost John, right? His cousin, and he was grieved. I mean, even though he was of God, he still, went and wept by himself. That's what scripture says. And instead of choosing to just stay in weeping, though, he decided to serve the multitude anyway. They came to him and said, hey, the people are hungry. We should probably send them home. And he said, no, I want to take care of them and I want to feed them. And I thought about that demonstration, that act of love, because he knew his father and he wanted people to know him. And I got to thinking, wow, there's a powerful message still inside of me. No matter what circumstances or position I'm facing, I still have a desire in my heart to serve people. And so I decided, rather than looking at my situation and what I didn't have and what I was facing, I decided that I was going to focus on helping people still live the life by design that they've always wanted. Okay, that's my job as a transformational life coach, is to empower, inspire, and encourage women, right? In all areas, no matter where they're stuck or where they're looking at results for, that's my job. I take that seriously. And if I don't show up for myself, I can't help other women the way that I'm called to. And so I was really just sitting there last night, and I'm really, I had this big opportunity this morning to serve on a network and to really share my heart. And I just started praying. I just sat there and I turned the worship music on and I heard the song Praise You in the Storm. And it's all about praising God in the storm, really meeting him where he's at, no matter the situation, no matter what you're facing, that God is always there to meet you in your storm, right? Because the Lord is jealous for us. There's a fear and reverence that goes along with serving the Lord. We think of him as a kind, loving, and comforting Father. Maybe we didn't have such a great experience. We're thinking the other way. However, when we come into a place where we fear the Lord, it doesn't mean like be terrified of him. No, it means to serve him, to be deeper in communion and intimacy with him, right? And so I really felt the desire to get into a heart of worship where I could have communion, where I could build intimacy and relationship, because he is bigger than any problem or situation that we face. We may face like really tall, treacherous mountains, but then all of a sudden the Lord comes in and he shifts the route all of a sudden, right? It's like the suddenly happens. And in our deepest, darkest moment, that's the perfect opportunity for him to show up and show out last second. And he has enough to shift and alter your atmosphere, right? And so it's like, we can either let our mountains succumb us, or we can tell our mountains how to shift, right? And I got to thinking about another story biblically, and that's when Jesus and the disciples were at sea. And, there's a big storm. There's Jesus laying down and sleeping, just in perfect rest and peace, right? And here are the disciples like, why are you resting? It's almost like they want to, panic about it, right? And Jesus says, because I know who my Father is, I know what the promise is, right? So I can just rest and I can be still and I could assure. He's like, let me show you, right? So he tells them, he steps out and he says to the storm, peace, be still. He literally he took authority and told his storm what to do. And so it's kind of like us, we can allow our situations and the things that seem like they're real, they're scary situations to overcome us, or we can have great hope and a greater measure of faith. And we can literally take authority over this situation and say, instead of what can't I do, what can I do about this situation? Your number one defense that you will always have is worship. That is your number one weapon of defense. When you worship, you automatically make your words come into command with the Lord's thoughts. You literally take authority over the situation, and instead of speaking darkness, you begin to speak life. You shouldn't go to God when you really need something all the time, right? Like, we shouldn't be praying like he's a slot machine. We should really be praying like, Lord, show me your ways today. Help me to be fulfilled in your promises today. Lord, I'm so grateful to you because you're the author and the finisher of my faith. You are restoring my faith. You are renewing my faith. You are giving me greater joy today. I love how you always provide for me, that I lack for nothing. Coming into praise, worship, and gratitude will solve more problems for you than focusing on your problems. You got to focus on him. So it's time to take your thoughts captive and make them his thoughts instead of your thoughts. You got to make them his thoughts. Well, if he were here and he were thinking and he were telling you, what would his faith speak, right? And so it's the perfect opportunity for you to get in a position of praise and worship, thanking him for everything that you have. You should also be praying for more strategies. You should be praying for more might, more knowledge, more understanding. We don't perish because we don't have a relationship with God, but we perish because we have lack of knowledge, right? So in order to accommodate that and switch your thoughts and shift your mindset and shift your attitude, because if your attitude stinks and your mindset stinks, how do you expect God to deliver on your behalf? Well, he can't. So you've got to be in a position to really shift your mind of what can't be done to how God can move mountains and how he can move on your behalf. He has all the downloads. He has all the solutions. He has all the strategies. He has the direction, and he has the next steps for your life. And I really believe that no matter what you're facing. So the best thing you can do is, rather than, staying in it's not bad to like cry and weep, but take your position from being defensive to an offensive stance. And instead of focusing on like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And weeping and, continuing to feed the problem and talk about it in a negative way, instead shift it and spend that time in worship. Start having intimacy with him, commune with him. And if you're spending 5 to 10 minutes in the word, that's not long enough. You got to get in there deeper. You got to be able to praise and really give him glory. It brings honor and glory to him when you praise and worship him. And then he can work out the situation on your behalf, because when you start worshiping him, that gives him the cue to send angels on assignment on your behalf. Wouldn't that be cool to know that instead of you being self-reliant in your own strength, trying to figure everything else out, you're able to shift and say, God, I trust you. You're shifting and sending the angels on assignment on my behalf. I don't have to rely on myself. I can come into submission and partnership with you, and you are going to work out all the details today on my behalf, right? And so you just take authority over it. You take authority over the situation. That's what that means. And come into communion. Come under the shadow of the Lord's wing and trust in perfect rest that he's working out everything for good for those who love him, which is Romans 8:28, right? Remember Jeremiah 29:11 too. He has plans for you, plans to prosper you, and plans for a hope and a future for your life. Remember that every storm has to come to an end. Not everything can last forever, right? Pretty soon he's going to shift everything on your behalf if you trust and you believe that he is going to take authority over that situation, right? So instead of having a heavy, burden and a heavy yoke, make it lighter. When you surrender to him and you worship, you say, God, I'm giving you everything, man. I'm giving you all of my circumstances, all of my situation, all of my problems, and I'm trading them and I'm giving them to you because you are taking care of all my needs. I lack for nothing. I can rest assuredly that you have everything for me today. Right? And so it doesn't always fix the situation in the immediate, but what it does teach you to do is to go to God for as your everything. Rather than making your problem your idol, you can go to God for your everything. Isn't that so super reassuring that you don't have to rely on yourself? You can trust him to take you to that next level. And he is. All you need to do is to trust him and come into him into worship and surrender all that you are, all that you're being, and trust him to show you the way, whether it's a next step you have to take, whether it's a detour you need to take. And what it'll also do is shift your frequency too, because when you focus on your problems, it actually brings your frequency down. Do you know what it does to you guys? What it does is it will cause, so you start talking about your problem, right? Well, your mind starts to believe what you're talking, okay? So then it goes back into your brain, and then it sends like negative neurotransmitters into your body. And so you're secreting negative hormones in response to your body. And when you're doing that, it brings down your immunity. It can cause you to gain weight. It can cause health issues. It can cause you to get sick, all these other things, right? So you want to do everything you can to keep your frequency high for him. You want to keep your frequency as high up as you possibly can. So when you get into an attitude of worship, what you're doing, it may take you a few minutes, but what it'll do is it'll shift your mindset and shift your attitude and the way that you respond to the Lord, which will also help everything else come into alignment with you. Because when you start coming into alignment with God, every area of your life will literally shift. And your frequency will go up, so will your mindset, so will your attitude, and then you will no longer be worrying so much about your situation. Instead of focusing on your problems, you'll be focusing on him and what he is doing in your life. And if you really want to bring encouragement to your situation and continue to shift it and be light and love and be a message that's inspiring and empower and equip others, take it a step further, not just focusing on him alone, but delivering that message and that good word to others. So whether you have a business, a career, a message, something that the Lord has laid on your heart, get the message out there. Put your gifts to work. It doesn't matter what your situation is. Don't focus on that. Focus on how the Lord is going to show up for you and for others today. So I hope that this video really inspired and brought you hope in some sort of way, and maybe even added to your greater measure of faith. I believe in you, and I want you to do me a favor. If you found this video of some sort of value today, please feel free to share it with a loved one, share it on your wall. I would love to get the word out there and inspire and encourage other people today. And if you could do me a favor in the comment section, put one nugget that you got from this video today and share it with me. I would love to hear what you gleaned and what you learned from today. It's been a real pleasure in being here with you today. I look forward to seeing you at some point tomorrow. Time to be announced. Just stay tuned. It was a pleasure and an honor. Have a great rest of your week. And until next time, bye for now.